Hello class, we're about to start section 3.6, which is indicated here on the syllabus, is on page 283, problems 1 through 7, and page 288 to 295. We'll pick 1 or 2. Okay, now, 3.6 is a taxing situation. It says the learning objective is to understand why we pay taxes, to explain the basic process of paying taxes, to determine the amount of tax due based on taxable income, and to complete a 1040 EZ form. Okay, it says here, how does the tax process work? If you earn a paycheck through a process called withholding, taxes are automatically taken from the amount you've earned. The amount of tax that is withheld is based on two main factors: how much you earn and paperwork you fill out through your employer describing how many other people depend on you financially. The intent is to estimate the amount of tax that you will owe at the end of the year and pay some of it during each pay period so that you don't end up with a big bill that you can't afford to pay at the end of the year. When it's time to file a tax return, you'll find out if you paid too much, which entitles you to a refund, or too little, which means you need to pay more. Our tax system is designed so that people that make more money pay a higher percentage of their income in taxes than do those who make less money. The range in which your income falls is known as a tax bracket, and the bracket you're in will determine how much of your income you will owe. It's essentially impossible to understand taxes without understanding tax brackets, so that's where we'll begin. So on page 284, it says there are 4 different filing statuses. Single, which is self-explanatory. Married filing jointly, which is when a married couple files a single return for both. Married filing separately, which is when married individuals decide to file separate returns. And head of household, which is for unmarried individuals that financially support others. There are different income levels that qualify you for certain brackets depending on which filing status applies to you. Below is a table of tax brackets for 2014. Now it says, for each filing status, the range of incomes listed in that column determines which tax bracket an individual falls into. For example, notice that in the second row of the married filing separately column, the range is $9,076 to $36,900, and that row has 15% in the tax rate column. This tells us that a married taxpayer filing separately with taxable income between $9,076 and $36,900 is in the 15% tax bracket. In a while, we'll study exactly what that tells us about the amount of tax he or she would pay. It says here, if a person filing as single has taxable income of $42,000, what tax bracket is she in? What about a married person filing jointly? So a single person that has an income of $42,000, we'll go to the single column, and we'll go where $42,000 will fall into, which would be the 25%. So if you're single, you will be at the 25% tax bracket. Now they ask us, what about a married person filing jointly? Married filing jointly, the $42,000 tax bracket would be at 15%. So it'd be married filing jointly. All right, so now it says, now for the big question. How much would that single person pay in taxes? If you said 25% of $42,000, that's a fine guess, an incorrect one, mind you, but a fine guess nonetheless. So what's the deal? What does the 25% tax bracket mean? In short, all tax payers that are single pay 10% of the first $9,075. They then pay 15% on the next $27,825, which is the amount that falls into the range $9,076 to $36,900. Finally, they pay 25% of the amount over $36,900. Okay, so let's explore this. Let's say this person earned $42,000. Okay, now according here, let's just do the single person, because then this would apply to the rest as well. This single person goes from $1 to $9,075. So what we would do, we would take this 10%, which would be 0.10, and multiply it by 9,075, because we know we got 9,075 within the 42,000 that we're talking about this person earned. So that would take care of that. Now we would add, the next group would be the 15%. So now we have the 15%. Now if we look at the 15% bracket, it goes up to $36,900. But remember, we have to take out the 9,075 that we already had when we did the 10%. So we must take our calculator. We take our calculator and we take the 36,900 and subtract out the 9,075 that we put at the 10%. So what's left is what we multiplied the 15% tax bracket. So we'll multiply the $27,825. Now, again, we know that we're in the 25% tax bracket because we did that in problem number 1. So now at the 25%, our $42,000 falls in this category. When the number that we're looking for falls into the category, we would take the percent of that category. Matter of fact, I ran out of space, so let me rewrite this. So we would have space to put it all on one line. Okay, so now we would take our 42,000 and subtract it from the 36,900, because between this 9,075 and this 27,825, we've already been taxed on $36,900 of our income. So we would take our calculator and take our 42,000 minus $36,900, and that would leave us $5,100. So the 25% we will multiply by the 5,100. And this is how the taxes is broken up. So we're going to apply this to the next page, or probably the next couple pages. So we go here to number 2. It says, using the information just provided, calculate the amount of tax that our single person would pay on income of $42,000. Now this turns out to be great, because we just went over that here. So what we're going to do, we're going to transfer what I put down here as an example. So it'll be 10% at the $9,075 plus the 15% at the $27,825 plus the 25% at $5,100. Now, to see if you're on the right track, when you add up all of these numbers here, not the percentages, but when you add up these three numbers here, it should equal to 42,000. So let's add that up. 9,075, 27,825, and then 5,100. And it equals 42,000. So that means all of our money has been taxed. So now we will go through and multiply everything. We have 10% times 9,075 plus the 15% times the 27,825 plus the 25% times 5,100. So that gives us a total tax bill of $6,356.25. Now it says here for number 3, how much Would she have overpaid had she simply paid 25% of her taxable income? So we would do the 42,000 times 0.25. That would give us $10,500. And we would take that amount and then subtract what she actually was supposed to pay. And we will put that in our calculator. And she would have overpaid $4,143.75. This would have been her overpayment. Since many Americans are, shall we say, somewhat math challenged, the Internal Revenue Service, IRS, the government agency responsible for collecting taxes, publishes tables that let filers look up the amount of tax that they should pay. Their documentation even includes an example with the instructions in the case for Form 1040-EZ, which we'll study in a bit. So number 4, using the tax bracket info on the previous page. If Mr. Brown believes the tax table, will he pay too much or too little? And then by how much? So Mr. Brown is single. His taxable income on line 6 of Form 1040-EZ is $26,250. He follows 2 easy steps to figure his tax. He finds the $26,250 to $26,300 taxable income line. He finds the single filing status column and reads down the column. The tax amount shown where the taxable income line and the filing status line meet is $3,488. He enters this amount on line 10 on Form 1040-EZ. Okay, so basically what they want us to do here is to repeat what we did when we did problem number 2. So his taxable income of $26,250 will fall into the 15% tax bracket. Let me see, since he's single. So we would do our first $9,075 at 10%. Now, since this falls in the 15% tax bracket, we would take this $26,250 and subtract $9,075 from it. And then the 15% would tax $17,175. Now remember, these two numbers add together must give us $26,250. So we would take the $9,075 plus $17,175, and that gives us the $26,250, which means we set this up correctly. So we would take our 10% times $9,075 plus our 15% at $17,175. So that would give us $3,483.75. That would be the total that he was supposed to pay. Now on this tax table, he paid $3,488, which is too much. So he pays too much for his taxes. He overpays, and then we will subtract that 3488 minus 3483.75. He overpays $4.25. Okay, so now we move on to problem number 5. It says, what would happen to you if you fail to pay your taxes? Discuss, and if you're able, maybe do a little bit of internet research. I went on and wrote this out. First, you get fined. Later, they can place a lien on your property and garnish your wages. In extreme cases, you could go to jail. Now we ask here, where do your tax dollars go? While paying taxes really stings, it can help at least some to know exactly what those dollars are accomplishing. The government maintains a website that illustrates where federal tax dollars go. And for people that stinks at percents, which of course does not include you, it's possible to just enter a taxable income and see how that money gets divided up but we don't need that. We could just use the percents.